The American Southwest, home to two national parks that are legendary for their dramatic landscapes and colorful characters. Grand Canyon, with its rocky ridges and rushing rivers. And Saguaro, spotted with Western icons, both filled with natural splendor. By the 1860s, explorers had taken the measure of America from sea to shining sea. But one giant slice of territory remained largely uncharted. And what a slice it was. What we now call the Grand Canyon, the native Paiute tribe called Kaibab, the mountain lying down. Many considered the river sacred, a death sentence to mere mortals. One of the 7 natural wonders of the world, the canyon boggles the imagination. But not all are daunted by the sheer heights. The nimble bighorn sheep are completely at home here. While in more accessible places, competition with livestock for food and water and diseases caused a dramatic decline in numbers, the near insurmountability of the canyon has protected these sheep through the ages. Bachelor males hang out and get along well for the most part, but with the attentions of the females at stake, the rams get, well, rammy. It's all quite ritualized. They fence with stiff legs, as though they were sabers. Their signature headgear is a potent symbol of rank among the rams. A truly great rack can weigh 30 pounds. Some shots are clearly below the belt. And then, just when it looks like things are settling down, rearing up to gain more momentum, they collide. Their heads have double struts of bones to cushion their brains. Still, that's gotta hurt. They can keep these bouts up on and off for 24 hours at a time. Exhausted, they make their way up to the rim. Best to beware up here, though. A shy but fierce predator lurks in the heights. The incredibly evasive mountain lion makes a rare daytime appearance. Also known as the cougar, the puma, the ghost cat, and the catamount, the mountain lion is the 4th largest cat in the world after lions, tigers, and jaguars. Rarely glimpsed, it is the feline phantom of the rim. The Grand Canyon comes with a lot of statistics, many of which defy belief. It's a mile straight down on average. It's just 600 feet across at its narrowest point, and 18 miles across at its widest between the remote North Rim and the crowded South Rim. 5 million visitors come to Grand Canyon National Park every year, but the place is so geologically challenging that few make it past the lookouts. From the top, it seems impossible that the Colorado River, a trickle from up here, cut out this magnificent place. But for a long time, many people thought this was true. Now, evidence suggests that the river has been at work here for a relatively short time. Other forces of erosion have been eating away many separate canyons here for millions of years. It was only 5 million years ago that the Colorado actually linked them all up, creating one spectacular, sinuous path of nearly 300 miles. In the evening, the desert temperatures can drop like a rock tossed from the rim. Now is when the night stalker emerges, the mountain lion. Its hungry heat lighting up on infrared as it scans for prey. Mule deer, oblivious, graze in the dark. A dash across the nighttime terrain, and the mountain lion has pulled down her dinner. She's a picky eater, often consuming the choicest cuts of meat before dragging it off to hide. Some mountain lions simply abandon the vast majority of the carcass, leaving it to scavengers. To the south of Grand Canyon National Park lies another park filled with the West's most famous symbols. It may be the most recognizable plant in America. Always standing tall behind Clint Eastwood or John Wayne. A spiky shorthand for the West, but always a bit player. Except here. Here, the saguaro rules over the little park that bears its name. Some of these majestic cacti are 200 years old, 4 stories high, and precious beyond belief. Maybe 1 in a million cactus seeds will live long enough to grow arms. Literally surrounding the city of Tucson, Arizona, guarding its suburbs to the east and west, Saguaro National Park was created to save the cactus from extinction and preserve the 1,000 different showdowns unfolding in the cactus's shadow every minute. The tongue of a western diamondback rattlesnake cautiously tastes the air. She flicks airborne particles against the roof of her mouth to be analyzed, sorting out potential food from potential danger. Like this other icon of the Old West, and he's hungry himself. The roadrunner is a tough old bird. You have to be, when the slithering lunch you've got your eye on could kill you. The queen of rattlers, the western diamondback, is a recipe for deadly indigestion. She's venomous enough to kill a human. But she's missing something in this looming face-off. Legs. The roadrunner has got serious legs, and he knows how to use them. Native Americans revered the roadrunner for its speed, strength, and especially its courage. The bird circles, spiraling in on its target, but the snake's not going down without a fight. The plan is to grab the snake behind her head and bash the poor thing's skull in. In this face-off, guts versus venom is a draw. And our snake gets away with her life. Finally, after months of bone-dry desperation, winter months bring a gentle baptism to the park. The saguaro, like a giant pleated sponge, soaks it up. A big cactus can store 2 tons of water to get it through the months of drought ahead. And the park glows with new life. January receives only an inch or so of rainfall, but it works magic. With his jaunty headgear, the Gambel's quail is quite the ladies' man. He and his mate have a growing brood already. But the neighbors are still waiting nervously on their nest. It's well hidden. But here be dragons. Ravenous, unstoppable Gila monsters. And the quail's worst nightmare is about to unfold in horrifying slow motion. Among all the other prehistoric creatures in Saguaro National Park, the Gila monster stands out. He's a rare, venomous lizard. Extremely slow-moving, he prefers his prey motionless and helpless, like these quail eggs. Ever so gently, not wanting to waste a drop, he takes the egg into his mouth. The mother quail will now have to start all over again. And he's just getting started. Egg after egg goes down his throat. Hey, even monsters have to eat. That meal could tide him over for a week. The rains are long gone, and the sun is high. The saguaros are impervious, keeping their water to themselves. Any creature that can has gone to ground by now. Those that can't simply suffer. Back up north, the sun rises over the Colorado Plateau, the high plain cleaved by the Grand Canyon. Many animals that live here will never see the other side. For that, you need wings. As the sun bakes the red rock walls, warming air rises. It uplifts one of the rarest birds in the world, a symbol of perhaps the longest and most desperate fight ever to save a species. The California condor, with its nearly 10-foot wingspan, is the largest bird in America, and by all odds should not exist. There were just 22 of them left in the wild in 1982. Biologists took the desperate step of trapping every one of them and breeding them in captivity. In 1992, they started releasing them, each clearly numbered, into the wild. And for the first time in nearly 70 years, the condor flew above the canyon. Today, more than 70 of these majestic birds can be seen in and around the national park. The north side of the canyon might as well be a different world. Parts could be mistaken for the Great Plains. Complete with the thunder of bison. But these bison aren't native. Technically, they're not even bison, as the animals were going extinct across the plains in the early 1900s. A businessman imported a herd to Arizona and crossbred them with cattle, hoping to create a super race of meat on the hoof. They thrived and spread, but only reached Grand Canyon National Park during the late 1990s. Several hundred now roam the North Rim, enough that the Park Service is worried about their presence here. The mighty beasts are trampling the ancient grasslands. The Swain Sons hawks don't mind. The giant shaggy creatures flush a virtual plague of grasshoppers with each step. And the hawks are happy to be the cleanup crew. Underfoot, a prairie dog has much bigger worries than bison. Kit foxes love rodents, especially young prairie dogs. And this growing, rambunctious family needs plenty to eat. Even in the heat of high summer, they're hyperactively burning calories, which their parents are going to have to replace. While the young kits romp, the parents will hunt. Bad news for the prairie dogs. The prairie dogs notice immediately and give a "be on the lookout" call. These animals actually have extensive vocabularies for different predators: four-legged, winged, slithering, and degrees of danger. When the fox is too close for comfort, it's time to get the youngsters underground. But burrows are often no match for the clever kit fox. As the kit fox plans her attack, anxious prairie dogs watch helplessly from nearby burrows. As the kit fox easily traps and kills a youngster. A responsible mother, she brings the majority home to her own babies. After the fox is gone, a very strange thing happens. A hopping yip fest among the prairie dogs. Is this a crazy kind of survivor's guilt? A celebration that they're still alive? or a big thank you sent up to the prairie dog gods. Recent research suggests that it's a test of their emergency broadcast system. Maybe theirs needs a tune-up. As the morning passes, the sun turns up the heat in the canyon, and more birds join the swirling stairway to heaven. Clever ravens steal even more lift by drafting in the slipstream of the much larger California condor. The Grand Canyon is full of cheaters. Turkey vultures feed almost exclusively on the dead, so living things on the ground pay no attention to them. But zone-tailed hawks have evolved flying styles and silhouettes that perfectly mimic the vultures, and they want living flesh. An unsuspecting lizard just keeps basking in the open. By the time the hawk shows its true colors, it's too late. These hawks usually have 2 chicks, but the larger will sometimes kill the smaller. Raptor families, like royalty, need an heir and a spare. But in Saguaro, it's the reptile's turn to strike. By May, it hasn't rained for months in the mountains near Tucson. Yet the saguaro, with its internal supply of water, still forms small buds. Covered in sweet dew, they attract prospectors. The park's few water holes draw the desert animals like magnets. Young Harris antelope squirrels are busy tasting the world around them and generally having fun. They're blissfully oblivious to danger slithering near. But Mom's not, and she alerts the babies. The long-nosed snake wants to squeeze the life out of her kids. At her signal, they retreat to their lair. But the snake has smelled them. Mom knows what she has to do. She'll put her life on the line and go nose to nose with her little kid's enemy. In Saguaro National Park, heroes come in small packages. This snake will get past this mom over her dead body to get a tasty meal. She's 4 ounces of true grit, nerves of steel, and fabulous reflexes. Too much effort for the snake, and Mom knows she's won. Finally, the sun tips towards the horizon. It hasn't rained in months, but the saguaro hoards so much water, it can dictate its own seasons. As the moon rises beyond the lights of Tucson, the flowers on the silent cactus prepare for their once-a-year night on the town. The saguaro buds open, milk-white petals, unveiling butter-yellow centers. As day returns, the cactus reveals its secret. Defying the tyranny of rain in the desert, the saguaro cacti take turns blooming for a few weeks. The flowers will only last a day, and everything is riding on them. Our heroic squirrel mother greets the dawn. A quick grooming and a dirt bath start the morning right. The saguaro blossoms have no time to lose, so they give off a rich, ripe melon smell, irresistible to the Gila woodpecker. Diving headfirst into the flowers, the bird gets a face full of pollen, which it will obligingly carry off to pollinate other cacti, ensuring their future. In the basin of the Grand Canyon, beavers have long staked their claim along the Colorado River system. They don't build dams, though. The river is too wide and can be too fast-flowing. Instead, they dig along the banks and build their lodges in the calm side streams. One of the largest tributaries into the canyon is the Little Colorado, which joins the Big River inside the park. At their famous junction, the Little Colorado pours its chalky blue waters into the Big Colorado's rust-colored ones. In summer, the dry arrogance of the Grand Canyon meets its maker, the only force that can humble its vastness: wild weather. Brooding skies snuff out the sunlit fire of the canyon walls as the monsoon season breaks over Arizona. During the monsoon in the Grand Canyon, 3 inches of rain can fall in a few hours, unleashing the nightmare of flash floods. This beaver seems to have learned how to navigate these canyons. But slot canyons can become death traps for human hikers. The heightened erosion can cause powerful mud flows and perilous rock falls. Only the beavers seem to take the monsoon in stride. And the skies above the canyon quickly clear again. At nightfall, a secretive mountain lion returns to a mule deer carcass, which is a good thing, given that she has a cub to feed. Make that two. They're just starting to eat meat, but take to it with gusto. And turns out, there are actually 3 cubs. They'll eat their fill and be long gone by dawn. Between the rains, sunlight floods a canyon that is now even more radiant, if such a thing is possible. Condors, as scavengers, are often thought of as filthy creatures, but these endangered birds spend a lot of time cleaning their feathers, drying them in the sun, and showing off their tag numbers. The ever-observant raven surveys the canyon to see if he can steal someone's meal, rather than find his own. But this steakhouse may be a little too trendy even for him. Dozens of the huge, voracious California condors are squabbling over the carcass of a calf. Each year, more of these rare birds are released into the wild. The carrion has been staked out here for them by biologists, hoping to stir their natural hungers. Ravens simply can't resist the urge to investigate and annoy. Every single condor is precious, numbered and closely monitored by scientists. Ravens, quickly bored by the condors, soon turn to Top Gun aerial antics to amuse themselves. Of the four-legged creatures of the South Rim, only one has the potential to fly, or nearly. The pronghorn. The only faster land animal in the world is the cheetah. But here, there's only one thing that would make them move in this heat. A mountain lion. The mountain lion is a powerful animal, capable of hitting 50 miles per hour in a sprint. But the amazing pronghorn can hit over 60 and sustain it. The cat could never run down a healthy adult. But newborns are a different story, no matter how sprightly. The cat's only chance is surprise. And now that it's been seen, the pronghorns barely break out of a contemptuous trot getting away from the cat. The mountain lion is far less dangerous to a pronghorn than a hole in the ground that could snap a leg. And there are lots of holes in the ground. The South Rim is home to countless prairie dog towns with hundreds of entrances and exits. Sadly, prairie dogs have been relentlessly exterminated outside parks to make way for farms and developments. Maybe 2% of their old numbers remain. And even the ones on protected lands are terribly vulnerable to bubonic plague of all things. Yes, the Black Death that killed off half the people in medieval Europe is alive and well. In the United States, it strikes an average of 7 people each year, most of them in the Southwest. But these little pop-up critters emerging from prairie dog holes aren't rodents. They're baby burrowing owls. The only owl in North America that nests underground. Once common in the Americas, their numbers too are declining. With the parents' return, they leave the borrowed burrows and beg. Both male and female have been providing their youngsters with chunks of reptiles, mice, and smaller birds that litter the ground. But one of the babies is not interested in eating. He looks a little bit queasy, actually. The parent seems to know that something's about to come up. All better. A lovely ball of indigestible bones and feathers. Prairie dogs don't mind sharing their burrow systems with the owls, but some neighbors are not welcome. Like the American badger, pound for pound, one of the most ferocious predators in the world. Badgers are killers. After about 6 weeks, the cubs are already developing a taste for meat. The neighborhood watch immediately notices that the badger is in hunting mode. And the alarm goes out across the community. They scuttle for the safety of their underground lairs. But almost nothing can stop a hungry badger. The badger seems to have trapped a prairie dog as her ravenous young look on. The prairie dogs have many escape routes, but the badger is a powerful digger and has been known to block their emergency exits. Badgers help maintain the Grand Canyon's natural equilibrium by keeping rodent populations down. In Saguaro, the roadrunner needs to warm up after a chilly night. After sunset, temperatures can drop by 30 degrees Fahrenheit. He fluffs up his feathers to let the morning sun soak into his black skin. Once the engine is turning over nicely, it's time to take it for a spin. The Roadrunner is an awkward flyer, but a sleek runner, reaching speeds of up to 15 miles per hour. In some Mexican lore, it's the Roadrunner, not the stork, who delivers babies. In the park, black harvester ants are a well-oiled machine. Each scurries after its appointed task, carrying seeds, insects, and building materials to their underground nest. The venomous bite of the ant is incredibly painful, but it's not much against Godzilla. This impressive armory belongs to the harvester ant's nemesis. And if ants made horror movies, this would be the bad guy. The regal horned lizard. This early in the morning, the horned lizard's too cold to move much, even if breakfast is clamoring all over him. But not for long. The ants look nasty going down, but the reptile can't get enough. They can eat over 200 of them at a sitting, and once warmed up, they can get quite agile. By midday, it's time to get in the shade. The Grand Canyon and Saguaro. Two grand national parks that each have their own realms of beauty. Staggering in their greatness. Their majestic grandeur shines for all to see.
In Zion National Park, warmer months attract millions of visitors to its towering sandstone cliffs. But today, only a rare few embrace the cold of winter. They're here to scale a buttress taller than the Empire State Building. Angel's Landing. Cliff ecologist Zach Warren and climbing partner Adam Clifford are here with the mission. Even with fingertips numbed by the frigid rock, they must push upward. Soaring to such great heights usually lies only with the winged inhabitants of Zion. And in the hardest to reach pockets of this pristine landscape, an amazing creature lurks. Zach's exploration
Climber mode off. Scientist engage.
brings him 200 feet into this hidden fracture cave. Where he finds a Townsend's big-eared bat. The remote cracks and crevices of Angel's Landing give bats a safe haven to hibernate in winter. Zach and his team test as many bats as they can find, investigating if they're infected by the deadly white nose syndrome. This fungal disease has killed millions of bats across North America. But according to tests like these, the bats here remain clear of the infection. Zion provides a safe haven for more than just bats. Named by the 19th century Mormon pioneers after the ancient Hebrew word for refuge, Zion lives up to its name for the 400 animal species that thrive here. This exalted landscape stems from the Virgin River, which connects its distinct geology to the creatures that call Zion home. In the harshness of winter, wild turkeys flock together by the Virgin for safety and food. But community living can ruffle some feathers. An older male, a Tom, and a younger gobbler, a Jake. Before spring arrives, they fight to establish pecking order. This will determine who has mating rights and who doesn't. Wing punches, talon kicks. The victor bites his opponent into submission. However, this commotion draws unwanted attention. Gray foxes can hear tiny squeals from 150 feet away. But by taking the high ground, the turkeys force the fox to search for easier prey. Winter's retreat brings more hunting opportunities as rodents and vegetation surface. warming temperatures restart the sculpting of Zion's enigmatic landscape. Across 250 million years, Zion's underlying tectonic activity has elevated this sandstone plateau to 10,000 feet above sea level. Ice melt from these dramatic heights courses down to the Virgin River. "100 times steeper than the Mississippi. Within the park, the Virgin wields immense cutting force. Over time, these fast-running waters slash through the sandstone. In some places, carving narrow slot canyons as deep as 2,000 feet. As winter gives way, the swollen river further powers the sculpting of this striking landscape, connecting the park's wildlife, plants, and geology. The inviting temperatures of spring draw in more visitors, just as a different kind of snowstorm hits. Cottonwood trees release their fluffy seeds by the millions. Taking root along the river basin, they replenish this habitat, providing new homes and new spots for foraging. From the lowlands, Zion's ecosystems evolve by elevation. Climbing upwards, pinyon juniper forest covers nearly 50% of the park. And atop Zion's highest plateaus, pines and firs dominate. At these craggy heights, only the hardiest can thrive. Like the desert bighorn sheep. Once driven to extinction here, today, the bighorn are back on the rise. Radio collars help scientists track their recovery. Over 500 populate Zion today. But scaling these canyon walls comes with considerable risks. Built into the bighorn's DNA, an agility for living on the edge. Rectangular pupils widen their field of vision, constantly on the lookout for predators. They use Zion's rugged terrain as a defense. As night falls, the bighorn bed down in the safety of Zion's steep bluffs. At this hour, another world awakens. Darkness opens new opportunities to hunt. Even for Zion's most elusive predators. Roughly a dozen mountain lions call this place home. Their large eyes give them night vision, which they use to hunt deer and bighorn in near darkness. The rhythm of life in Zion cycles anew with every dawn. In spring, wild turkeys magnify this rhythm. In this male's pursuit of a mate, he puts on quite a show. The snood hanging over his beak lengthens as he puffs himself up. At first, his parading goes unnoticed. Finally, his gobbles pique one female's interest. A soft, guttural drumming draws her in. He makes this sound by sucking in air and quickly forcing it out. But the tom must get close to the hen in order for her to feel the vibrations. Following his deep rumble, the hen heeds his call. In this lover's dance, she takes the lead. Upriver, the Virgin continues its carving. The canyon walls close in, and sunlight narrows to slender beams. These vertical walls inspired the Southern Paiute to call this place Mukuntumui, meaning steep canyon. For those who travel Zion's century-old trails, they'll find these walls imbued with the stories traditions, and spiritual beliefs of those who have called it home for countless generations. These rock layers represent 150 million years of Earth's history. Like pages in a book, the layers can be read. They speak of tropical oceans, coastal sand dunes, and deserts rivaling the Sahara. The white tips of the Navajo sandstone harken back to the time of the dinosaurs. From space, satellites pick up the ancient striated stone. Chiseled out by the Virgin River, the park forms the western edge of the massive Colorado Plateau. Red sandstone highlights the elevated expanse. President Woodrow Wilson designated Zion as Utah's first national park in 1919, the same year as Arizona's Grand Canyon. Today, a total of 9 parks stand along the edge of this plateau, the most densely concentrated collection of national park lands in the U.S. All thanks to the magnificence of the geology, sculpted by water, wind, and the march of time. Away from the shadow of soaring buttresses, new life unfurls in the sun. A super bloom of desert globe mallow ignites. While these flowers open to the daylight, some reveal a sleeping guest, the globe mallow bee. Native to Zion, they cover themselves in pollen. As the bees move, they ensure the flower's life cycle and their own. This mother has one duty: provide nectar and pollen for her unborn young back home. However, rather than living in hives, each bee digs her own individual nest. When lined with enough pollen and nectar, she lays her eggs. A mother's work is never done. She must gather more nectar and pollen to finish her nest, which will sustain her larvae. Constant labor means leaving her nest unprotected. The Bombyliidae fly may look like a bee, but in Zion, her disguise conceals her true intent: to become a home wrecker. If the fly can drop her parasitic larvae into the bee's nest, they will feed on the baby bees, killing them. Solitary by nature, the bees ignore the new face. Nests built up with a tall chimney have an extra layer of defense. But the fly has found a shallow nest, unprotected by fortress walls. Capitalizing on the mother's absence, it takes aim. When this mother returns home, she finds her nest undisturbed. However, another mother here won't be so lucky. Life feeds off death. And sometimes death inspires life. In the 1980s, conservationists successfully reintroduced wild turkeys to Zion. Today, they are thriving. By eating and excreting the vegetation, they spread the seeds that expand Zion's plant diversity. This messy business goes beyond child's play. For them, this is bath time. With clean feathers, these kids prepare for the biggest steps of their lives. Taking flight after a mere 2 weeks. They grow up fast because they have to. 80% will not survive to adulthood. Red-tailed hawks often target poults. For this looming threat, Mama carries out her warning system. These hawks won't attack adults, making Mom's assembly call to gather around her a lifesaver. Zion offers no promises in the quest for survival. But the myriad ways creatures here endure these barren conditions reveal the extent of their complex relationship with the land. For desert bighorn sheep, their bodies evolved to go for months without water by extracting it from their food. Since time immemorial, the indigenous Southern Paiute have had their own relationship with the Bighorn. For centuries, these majestic creatures provided them more than sustenance. Their importance is carved in stone. And written in the stars. Southern Paiute legend tells of one courageous mountain sheep undertaking a journey up the tallest, most dangerous mountain here, climbing so high that he ultimately transformed into the North Star. Though forcibly displaced in the 19th century, the Southern Paiute maintain their connection to these lands. Just south of Zion, they manage Pipe Spring with the Park Service, one of the only indigenous-run national monuments in the U.S. Unpolluted by city light, this dark sky park sets the stage for stargazing. Autumn Gillard is a dark sky ranger and a proud descendant of the Cedar Band of Southern Paiutes.
My journey under the stars began with the teachings of my mother and grandmother. Their wisdom nurtured my deep connection to our Southern Paiute traditions and the celestial wonders above. My work leading Pipe Spring to its international dark sky designation prevents artificial light from intruding on our clear sky. The stars are the heartbeat of our stories, songs, dances, and agricultural practices. Our ancestors were the original natural scientists of North America, weaving together empirical observations with rich cultural and spiritual teachings. Southern Paiute cosmology connects us to the stars, sky beings, and to our four-legged brothers. The North Star, transformed from Nak, bighorn sheep, continues to guide us with its enduring strength, courage, and wisdom. Despite the vast oceans that lie between, our Paiute constellations mirror Roman Greco depictions, drawing similar patterns. For us, Orion the hunter aims his bow at the antelope in the place of Taurus, the bull. Within his eye is Pleiades, or Soni, a celestial resting place for our spirits. Without the dark skies of Zion and Pipe Spring, we would lose our tie to the constellations that embody both our waking lives and the passage to the afterlife. My mentor, Ben Pickavett, stands as a living bridge between the past and the present. In our tradition, the wisdom of the stars spans generations, a legacy that was nearly lost. But like the dark skies protected by our national lands, the wisdom of the stars is available to all.
The dark skies of Zion protect more than the stars and stories within. Light pollution disrupts the behavior of many bat species. Zion's dark skies provide a refuge in which to thrive. This single bat will chomp down thousands of insects before dawn, helping control the population and balance Zion's ecosystem. But in nature, the only constant is change. Zion's creatures brace for it. At the height of Zion's summer, temperatures can reach a sweltering 110 degrees Fahrenheit. To survive, hardy creatures cling to ever-shrinking patches of respite. Relief comes as autumn nears. Warm winds from the Gulf of California meet moist air from the Gulf of Mexico and condense. Causing massive monsoons. Cooling the desert and taking the park's sculpting efforts to the next level. Waterfalls channel the rain below, causing the sandstone slot canyons to swell dramatically. Though flash floods cause massive rock falls and landslides, the rushing waters also exert a much finer cutting tool. Knocked loose by the floods, tiny grains of sandstone coalesce and grind the rock like a perpetual ribbon of sandpaper. Continually smoothing, continually widening, the sandy streams shape Zion's distinctive canyons. As they rush downward, they cut deeper into the virgin riverbed. All told, the Virgin will carry away more than 1 million tons of rock debris every year. Zion's annual cleansing marks the beginning of fall, as does the sudden appearance of tarantulas. The change in humidity influences the otherwise nocturnal spider to come out in droves. The male tarantula will walk up to 20 long miles searching for a female, even during daylight. As he closes in, the female stays close to home, where she will accept or reject him. She readies her burrow, throwing out strands of silk laced with pheromones to advertise her availability. To prepare, the male supercharges his front two pedipalps with sperm. But his affectionate advance could be his last. His high-stakes move involves significant risk. If she disapproves, she will kill and then eat him. Cannibalistic females go on to produce higher quality offspring. He risks coaxing her out from her burrow by drumming the ground with his pedipalps. Easy does it. Keeping her venomous fangs at bay, his pedipalps spin his sperm web into her abdomen. She's testy. But he does escape with his life. With no pillow talk, she returns to her burrow alone. Soon, she will spawn an egg sac with 1,000 baby tarantulas. For Zion's bighorn sheep, mating also involves major confrontation. The fall winds carry the scent of female ewes. Curling back his upper lip, he inhales her pheromones. A special gland in his mouth tells him if she's in heat. But her irresistible scent attracts a younger challenger. The elder makes his position clear. But arrogance begs conflict. Their battering rams can weigh 30 pounds, giving new meaning to the expression, locking horns. Though ramming with nearly 800 pounds of force, the structure of their horns works like a shock absorber. Taking the higher ground and charging at up to 40 miles per hour, the elder prevails. His gentle nudge receives a warm reception. In 6 months, their life cycle will come full circle. For now, the hardy creatures of Zion soak up the last vestiges of fall as they brace for winter. The web of life connects Zion's creatures to this land of stark extremes, for all to bear witness. In so doing, Zion continues to live up to its name. Not just as a refuge, but also a utopia for the hardiest of creatures that call this enchanted place home.
A primal fortress that saved the disappearing West. And a place of soaring granite cathedrals. In these two wild spaces, the real drama happens. You've never experienced Yellowstone and Yosemite like this. In the shadow of the Rockies, an ancient drama is about to play out, one that nearly disappeared from the face of the earth. Yellowstone's top predator against the largest mammal in North America. Once, only 23 bison remained here, and not a single wolf. But now, these eternal enemies face off again, as they did long ago. Yellowstone has turned back time. It's late winter in America's first national park. Yellowstone is a melting pot of savage beauty created by one of the biggest explosions ever to rock the earth. And its violent heart still smolders, blowing off steam through some 300 geysers, more than anywhere else in the world. The most famous geyser, Old Faithful, hurls hot water 150 feet into the air, venting its rage every 60 to 90 minutes. That's how long it takes to build up enough pressure to turn groundwater into explosive steam. Some bison take refuge in the stinking, sulfurous heat, a last haven for the weak and weary. But elsewhere in the park, they must face the brutal winter head-on. Mothers-to-be struggle terribly, trying to find enough food for two in the relentless snow. The calf she carries is a reminder of a miraculous comeback, if she can hold on through Yellowstone's notoriously harsh winter. But spring is late this year. Temperatures hover well below freezing, and the snowpack covers what little sustenance is there. The grazing animals struggle in search of a few blades of grass. Many elk grow weak as winter drags on. But someone else grows strong. The wolf thrives in winter. Highly intelligent and social creatures, they often show deep affection for one another. Their intense family ties also make them a deadly hunting unit. Once completely exterminated from the park, gray wolves were reintroduced in 1995 and have become a vital player in the park's ecosystem. Relentlessly chasing a big bull elk, the wolf is in its element in Yellowstone. This bull didn't earn his rank by being anyone's fool. He finds refuge in the frigid Lamar River, where the wolves cannot follow, and aims his impressive rank at them. But another dinner awaits. Yellowstone isn't the only park to witness scenes of drama. Though perfect terrain for the bobcat and the coyote, the Sierra Nevada mountains must have been a heart-stopping sight and a daunting barrier for those first Europeans headed westward into California. But from the time they breached these stone ramparts and discovered the magical Yosemite Valley, this place has cast a spell over artists, writers, scientists, and pioneers with more nerve than fear. These magnificent vistas sparked the very idea of national parks. Stunned by its beauty, awed by its giant sequoias, a new breed of activists fought to protect Yosemite from development. And in 1864, President Lincoln signed a bill to keep the place wild forever. The last days of winter are tough on many animals in the park, some of whom are on their last legs and starving. Coyotes often reap this sad harvest. sniffing out the carcasses of those who didn't make it till spring. There's zero chance of eating in peace here, though. Ravens are bad enough. But this bird is a recipe for indigestion. The golden eagle. Perhaps it's best to take a nice cut of meat somewhere quieter. But when the eagle spots his chance, the coyote won't tolerate it, and an extraordinary battle begins. The eagle has a terrifying 7-foot wingspan. And 3-inch talons that can dispatch a deer or a dog. But the coyote has the weight advantage and finally prevails. But not for long. The cawing Greek chorus will eventually get their share. In Yellowstone, the wolf pack is still on the hunt. And an elk calf has strayed from its herd. With the power and cunning born of long experience, the wolf is like a heat-seeking missile. The death of the elk calf means a reprieve for the pregnant bison. But for how long? In winter, the alchemy of heat below and cold above makes Yellowstone look like a different planet. Even at 50 degrees below, there's magic in the air. Extreme sub-zero temperatures in a cloudless sky sometimes result in a fascinating phenomenon. The formation of delicate ice crystals known as diamond dust. Some bison have devised a special strategy to get through the winter. Hot springs give off heat, enabling grass to grow. A hassle-free spa package at minus 20 degrees Fahrenheit. Winter is in slow retreat in Yellowstone's own Grand Canyon. Warmer temperatures unleash the frozen lower falls, twice the height of Niagara. And someone else is being unleashed. Just out of hibernation, a young bear can't resist the aroma of fresh carrion. A second grizzly has beaten him to it, the carcass of yet another bison that didn't make it through the winter. After spending more than 4 months in their dens, They're eager to find some food. Bears lose up to a third of their body weight during hibernation, and they're ravenous. Something's gotta give. Grizzlies would rather intimidate than fight. There's just too much risk of injury in bear-on-bear violence. Standing up to your full height is meant to impress. The owner of the carcass decides to show him how it's done. But when rituals fail, violence is inevitable. Hungry bears are violent bears. The pair is closely matched and equally desperate for a post-hibernation feast. A fight like this is a rare sight in Yellowstone. With a final slap, the newcomer tells his rival to shove off and claims his grisly prize. Spring is finally here in earnest. In the valleys, warmer days easily shrug off late snows. In the park's northeast lies Soda Butte, a limestone mound created by a hot spring. A muddy condo complex is under construction. American cliff swallows are busy nesting. The mud at the foot of the cone makes a perfect cement. Bison love the mud of Soda Butte too, because it's rich with minerals. Minerals that the pregnant females crave. Soon, the valleys of Yellowstone will be full of babies. The mother grows restless and nervous, with good reason. On the slopes, she has slipped off into the brush to give birth. This moving and intimate moment has rarely been seen in the national park. Immediately, the little one starts squirming free from the amniotic sac. He's one of about 700 bison calves that will be born this year. The mother cleans her calf, urging him to his feet. He'll need to be able to run with the herd in a matter of hours. he's up on wobbly legs in minutes, oblivious to the astounding struggle that lies ahead. In Yosemite, the snows of winter evaporate into the mists of spring. The shadowy bobcat emerges, with an apprentice killer in tow. Mother is an old hand at this. The kitten mirrors her every move. The huntress demonstrates the finer points. Watch for the tiniest tremor. Listen for the slightest sound. And pounce. That the voles sometimes get away is part of the education. If at first you don't succeed, there you go. Mom's kill leads to a game of keep away. This sharpens the youngster's ability to chase. And while her kitten eats, Mom will try to find her own lunch. But no, there's another kitten waiting in the wings. And the merry-go-round starts all over again. Kids. Sometimes it seems like they'll never leave home. Yosemite sprawls across 1,000 square miles of the Sierra Nevada mountain range. These massive granite formations were born in the molten depths of the earth, cooling slowly to become bulletproof stone. Shoved upward by immense geological forces, the rock was then sculpted and scoured by glaciers, often polished to perfection. The resulting landscape and skyline are almost surreal. The treacherous Tenaya Canyon leads directly up to the most famous icon of the park, Half Dome. This chiseled crest rises almost a mile above the valley floor. On the other side of the valley, the dizzying vertical thrust of El Capitan is equally unmistakable. In the spring, snowmelt hurtles downward everywhere in the park. Yosemite Falls cascades 800 yards in 3 stages, the tallest falls in North America. Vernal Fall, at over 300 feet, was called Yanapa, or Little Cloud, by the native people. Bridal Veil Fall often wafts in the breeze, as its namesake would. There's water everywhere, calling out that it's time to create new life. Ranging from an altitude of just 1,800 feet to over 13,000, Yosemite's changing terrain hosts countless ecosystems. In the woodlands where the bobcat lurks, western gray squirrels need to be vigilant. The rodents are not picky eaters and feed on nuts, berries, and tree seeds, but are happy to add insects, frogs, and birds' eggs. They, in turn, are staples on the bobcat menu. The squirrel has that feeling of being watched. The perfectly camouflaged cat picks her moment very carefully. The cat is just as agile in the trees as on the ground. But the squirrel is lightning fast. There are plenty of squirrels in these woods, as the cat knows well. And there's another, a Douglas squirrel or pine squirrel. True to his name, he's methodically munching a pine cone, as we would strip a nice bit of corn on the cob. The bobcat squeaks to herself in anticipation. She slinks into position. And they're off. This time, she comes up with the goods. The bobcat eats the entire squirrel head first, leaving hardly anything behind. But the bobcat isn't the only one with kittens to feed this spring. In the higher elevations of Yellowstone, where the snow still hangs on, another predator is staging a comeback. It's the notoriously shy cougar, one of only about 20 in the park, returning to her elk kill. These big cats are so elusive, even park rangers rarely spot them. At one point, they were virtually eliminated from Yellowstone. The raven should be careful about complaining. Cougars can leap 15 feet straight up. She's not alone. Her 3-month-old kitten is still nursing, but developing a taste for meat at the tender age of 6 weeks. The raven's a noisy irritant, and it could alert rival predators to the kill. But someone's late to dinner. Kittens will be kittens, no matter how big. Outside the park, cougars are still shot by those who think they're a threat to livestock. But here the family is safe. Yellowstone's section of the Rockies used to be on the seafloor. The clash of continents has driven them 8,000 feet into the air. But what the earth lifts, water slices, revealing the yellow rock canyon that gives the park its name. The Yellowstone River, the lifeblood of the park, pours into the valleys. The herd must move in search of better grazing, and the calf is ready to join them. Just hours after his birth, this 40-pound little guy can keep up with his 1,000-pound mom. He'll follow mom anywhere, even if it might be the death of him. Yellowstone is the only place in the U.S. where bison have lived continuously since prehistoric times. Their relentless search for better grazing grounds means crossing rivers like the Lamar. Crossings are no big deal for the grown-ups, but a daunting business for our 7-day-old calf. Rushing snowmelt makes the Lamar treacherous. The calf is understandably dubious. But when Mom makes her move, he has no choice but to follow. And almost immediately, things start to go wrong. The current is just too much. His mother turns back, trying to keep him safely upstream of her. But the water is too swift, and he is too young. She realizes her mistake. Too late. He's at the mercy of the river. What happens next will defy belief. A calf swept away by the Lamar should have no chance of survival. But something remarkable has happened. He is washed up onto a little gravel island. He's chilled and utterly spent, and Mother is nowhere in sight. As the cold Yellowstone night falls, it seems the calf has little chance of surviving. daybreak reveals a wolf on a kill in the river. But it's an elk, not the bison calf. Somehow the little one has survived the night, but he's still stranded. Any hope of rescue seems to be moving on with his herd. Even his mother seems to have given up. The heights of Yosemite are not just breathtaking and intimidating. They're home to a very special creature, the American pika, a living stuffed animal. This tiny cousin of the rabbit lives in boulder fields above the tree line, frenetically storing food supplies, cushioning their homes, eating, and just being preposterously cute. Sadly, the pika is in grave danger. It's so heat sensitive it can die when temperatures reach just over 75 degrees Fahrenheit. And as the climate gets warmer, the pikas must move higher in the park or perish. They've moved 500 feet higher in the last decade. And up here, they're more exposed to predators from above, like the voracious golden eagle. The sight of the bird of prey sets off alarms and a hasty retreat into the pika's rocky fortresses. But the golden eagle is a minor threat for these adorable creatures compared to global warming. Pikas have already disappeared from much of their range. Back downriver, against all odds, the bison calf is holding on, but he's running out of options. And just when things couldn't get any worse, they do. A strapping young wolf has spotted him. This tiny island offers no escape. But apparently, our calf is no ordinary calf. Hopelessly outmatched with the courage of innocence, he's not going down without a fight, and the inexperienced wolf flails. And then a noise. An impossible, wonderful noise. Here comes the cavalry, but is it in time? With an adult bison charging to the rescue, the calf now turns on the wolf. The calf seems to wonder, could this really be his mother? It is. And the wolf can't believe his eyes. Famished, the plucky little fighter loses no time filling up on his mother's rich milk. And this wolf has been thoroughly buffaloed. In Yellowstone, second chances are hard to come by. And it's good to be alive. Spring rushes into summer, and the park shows off its colors. Summer is a truly glorious time in Yellowstone. Yosemite is awash in color too, as summer approaches. The mule deer bucks are regrowing their antlers, which they shed each winter. Many of the does now have fawns, usually twins. The little Bambis will stay with their mother until the next spring. Till then, they live with a few other does and their fawns in small herds. They'll be weaned in a few weeks, so it's best to drink up now. The white patches on their backs generally disappear after their first month. In June, tufted poppies and other meadow plants bloom. It's an insect's paradise. And the Sierra Nevada yellow-legged frogs are big fans of insects. This incredibly rare species lives in a tiny area around Yosemite at an altitude of about 6,000 feet. While frogs around the world are being wiped out by a fungal disease, some groups of these guys are healthy, hungry and athletic little predators with deadly tongues. It's July, high summer in Yosemite. Our kittens are almost as big as their mother now. At 4 months, they're looking well-fed and self-satisfied. Mom checks in on them all the time. The siblings are affectionate with one another now, but one day in the future, they'll go their separate ways. Bobcats are extremely adaptable and flourish throughout North America. Some estimate that there may be 1 million of them in the U.S. The fact that they're so rarely seen is a testament to their shy and solitary habits. Just like domestic cats, they bump heads as a form of bonding. More than that, they're marking each other with scent glands in their faces. Week by week, the kittens are becoming more independent. These bobcat kittens need to become self-sufficient little killers. The cruel realities of late autumn will soon arrive, and Mother is growing less attentive to their needs and more concerned with her own. Their mother will leave them more and more often to fend for themselves. Through the seasons, as drama unfolds in Yellowstone and Yosemite, creatures great and small ferociously fight to survive against all that Mother Nature throws at them.